This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Here is what they don't want you to know.
Owning a home is the cornerstone of any good financial plan or retirement strategy. I mean, that's the real reason we buy real estate.
You've got to be smarter if you want to be successful. That's what this show is for.
This is going to blow your mind. You're going to share this with everyone you know.
I guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
If you do nothing else in your lifetime to save for retirement other than own your home free and clear, you're going to be okay.
And now, here's your host, Derek Evans.
Welcome to Smarter San Diego TV. This is the place where you get smarter. And it's all commercial free. Today's show, jam-packed. Please welcome my co-host, Rebecca Peters.
Hello.
How you doing, Rebecca?
Doing great. You haven't scared me away yet.
I haven't scared you away yet, but I've been working on it.
Yeah.
I gave you a weird nickname last week and all that stuff. Great show today.
Yeah.
Fantastic show, in fact. Brent Humpherys. You haven't met Brent, have you?
I have yet to meet Brent Humpherys, yes.
Character. Let me tell you something. It's going to be very punny around here.
Okay.
He's the pun king.
Okay.
So he'll be entertaining us. We also have some cool social media stuff for his segment.
He's a punny guy.
Voltaire Lepe is here today.
Nice little surprise.
Right. I don't know what Voltaire wants to talk about.
We'll find out soon enough.
I have no idea. Maybe that's Voltaire flying above us right now. Maybe he wants to talk about jet fighters.
Yeah, right.
It'll be interesting for sure. But you know, when people tell me, "Hey, I got something to say," and I know them, I tend to bring them on the show. Brian DeVore has a special guest today.
Yes, Mr. Carlsbad.
Do you know Mr. Carlsbad, the attorney that he's bringing on today, Brenda Geiger? She's like one of the top attorneys in San Diego, definitely one of the top attorneys in
Yes.
Carlsbad. We're going to talk about some really interesting stuff, and we have some really cool social media stuff too.
Yeah.
From Carlsbad, the Carlsbad Post this week, so that should be interesting.
Yeah,
And Brian always has something good to say.
Pretty important information to property owners, I believe.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the law regarding that, and a lot of stuff people need to know, especially about investment properties. Really key stuff. Big Daddy's back.
Big Daddy is back.
Does it feel like he's on every week?
It does.
It feels like we just
there's
talked to
nothing
Big
wrong with
Daddy.
that. It's totally okay.
He's got so much to say. That's what I
Yep.
mean. It's like there's so much going on. His radio show's blowing up.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about his radio show. I know last time he mentioned he's going to have some very special guests on, so maybe he'll give us a little...
Well, I know he went to Madonna twice in the same week, so he's bound to be on top of the world.
All right.
When he comes in today. That should be interesting. Elizabeth Story's back.
Yes.
As well. She's also bringing a heavy-hitting attorney from the Del Mar area,
Okay.
Elaine Blaine. So I can't wait to have them both on the show.
They have a very fun subject to talk about.
Yeah, not
not.
exactly fun, but we're going to make it fun.
Yes.
'Cause that's what we do here. It's going to actually be pretty interesting,
Yeah.
the way that we've laid this out. We didn't do social media on this one, but I think because both of them have so much to say, it's going to work out perfectly.
Yeah.
Should be good. And we're closing things off today. Scripps Ranch action. Scott Ryan.
Scott Ryan and Bob Ilko.
You know Scott has become like famous in Scripps Ranch because of
Really?
the show. Totally.
He's Mr. Scripps Ranch.
Everywhere he goes, people recognize him from the show in Scripps
Nice.
Ranch. Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
Totally crazy. So he's bringing on somebody from the SCRA, which is the big council over in Scripps Ranch that basically, SRCA I should say, that sort of manages all the different things that are going on. It's a really cool organization. He's bringing the president today, so that should be cool.
Ooh.
Yes, oh yes. And social media was definitely going off. I mean, Scripps Ranch residents are all over it.
Yeah, and you know what? Scripps Ranch is a really, 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 really nice area, but they still want to see some nicer things. So.
Well, I tell you, it's just
Sounds
that the
good.
community's involved, which is
Yeah,
great.
yes.
They're paying attention, so we're going to give them the great information. Time for me to get the jacket on. It's time to start the show.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is our Scripps Ranch community correspondent. He is joined by the president of the Scripps Ranch Civic Association. Please welcome back Scott Ryan and his guest, Bob Ilko.
Well done. All right. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Derek.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Scott, you're a pillar in the community at Scripps Ranch. Congratulations to you for being out there so much, caring so much about the community, bringing great people, guests onto the show. We really appreciate you. I just want you to know that. You decided to bring Bob today.
Yep. I decided, Scripps Ranch is such a great place. Why not bring one of the most influential people on here?
Yeah.
Being the president of the Civic Association, Bob is a great person to represent our community. So.
Absolutely. And we had a lot of people, Bob, on Facebook. As I saw you got in there.
Yes.
You got in there. You
I
took the gloves off.
respond to everybody.
Did you?
I do.
Tell us about the SRCA.
We're not a homeowners association. We are a volunteer town council. We have 27 people on our board, 22 of them are elected district representatives. And we are the hub for information, advocacy, events, and activities in Scripps Ranch.
Okay. So when it comes to you don't have necessarily any responsibilities. You guys are a self-created organization trying to better the community.
Absolutely.
Okay. So some of the comments, people think you guys are in charge of stuff. Like, we need a new bridge here, we need to clean this area up. It's pretty funny. But, at the same time, you're the people of Scripps Ranch, so you're probably capable of just about anything.
Yeah, we've been able to get things accomplished. One of the comments was about a dog park, and the city water department doesn't build parks, but they built a demonstration garden, which now turned out to be an unofficial dog park. And yes, they asked us what we wanted, and we told them to cover it, and we found a way to get grass, open space, without building a park.
Gotcha.
So we would like to build another dog park. We have 2 more opportunities to do that in Scripps over the next few years.
You do?
Yes, we do.
Well, people will be very glad to hear about that, because dog park was like one of the things that was a big deal for people on there, right?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get to social media here, Rebecca.
Yep, so the post says, Scripps Ranch, we want to know what you think about the Scripps Ranch Civic Association. What would you like to see them working on or towards for Scripps Ranch? Christian Hansen says, build a pedestrian bridge over Pomerado from Scripps Ranch Boulevard to Scripps Ranch Row for middle school kids who walk to school. They have to use the crosswalk during morning rush hour, which causes a traffic nightmare and is very dangerous for the children.
Now, this one is really interesting because we had 22 thumbs up on that one, which was the most in the thread, which is a lot for a comment. And so this is a big deal, but I know, Bob, this isn't necessarily something you guys are responsible for, but I know you've been involved in something similar to this.
At Marsh Middle School, I spent about 8 years on the design, development, and construction of the middle school. And we asked the school district to look into building a pedestrian bridge, how you can build it. There's issues of eminent domain, wetlands mitigation, the practical use of, well, kids use it. Mira Mesa has a pedestrian bridge, and the kids still cross the road because it's a lot quicker than going up, over, down, and then across the road. So it's a practical issue, but the school district has to fund it. And the cost of middle school went over budget, and the school district doesn't have money to build a pedestrian bridge.
And is this something where you could somehow get the residents of Scripps Ranch to say, hey, you guys want a bridge? Let's get a GoFundMe going here.
It could be done.
It could be.
In Sabre Springs, they bought a bridge. It took the federal government to fund it, but it's possible.
Okay, so it's possible. So you're saying there's a chance, Bob.
Yes.
The residents of Scripps Ranch really care about this, Scott. It's a big deal. When it has to do with the school and the kids, maybe you could get people involved.
I mean, I have 3 kids, and eventually they're going to be at Marshall Middle. It's from a design aspect, you see a lot of parents dropping off out of convenience of not having to go into the school. But from a safety perspective, I could see why people would want it. I just don't know how feasible it actually is going to be.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to, don't shoot the messenger here, Christian.
Yeah.
We're just telling you what's up. It is what it is. We're obviously trying to do everything we can here. What else do we have, Rebecca?
We have Lydia Weber, who says a designated dog park would be great. Also more biking lanes, or convert sidewalks into bike lanes, as no one walks on sidewalks very often.
Now, I don't know about this, 'cause I don't live there, but I've never seen a biker in Scripps Ranch. Is that a really big deal?
They're around. You see packs of bikers, actually. A lot of them head out towards Poway on Scripps Parkway. So I see them oftentimes in the mornings,
Well,
on Scripps Lake Drive, we added bike lanes when the city didn't have them. Pomerado Road gets the bicyclists that go to Poway. It's something that the city is looking to do more of, but unfortunately the road width is what it is, and you can't squeeze a bike lane necessarily in a lot of our streets.
I'm just as scared when there's a bike lane and the bikers, man. They just seem to, they have way too brave.
Yeah.
They're just like, all the way over in the lane and stuff like that.
Well, there's a rule now that the driver has to leave like a 3-foot bumper.
Yeah, and how can you do that? I mean, unless you're driving the other lane.
But then you think it's really not that much.
No, it's not. Not for what's going on. What else do we have, Rebecca?
We have Kathy Randall, who says, Stonebridge just put up a beautiful signage welcoming people to their neighborhood. Wish we had a statement sign or two.
Okay. This comes up a lot, I think, in Scripps Ranch. People really want the big entry, Scott.
Yeah. What's nice is they just redid the signage you come into Pomerado, but more than just the beautification of it, it's the dead trees on Pomerado, and there's a lot of eucalyptus, and over time, some of those trees have been removed, but I constantly hear it as a comment, whether I was at the Fire Expo or talking to residents or agents on Caravan. It seems to be a hot topic, and I'm sure Bob has some ideas of what could be done.
Anything there, Bob?
Well, if it's within 200 feet of homes, the city fire department does regulate that, and we've been removing certain size trees within the 200 feet of habitable homes. The property, then city-owned property. So
what are you going to do?
There's some issues of using public funds on private property to build a monument sign. That could be a hang-up.
Well, maybe we just need to get a petition going. Maybe that's what we need.
Yeah.
I know the market's been doing well in Scripps Ranch. Scott, do you want to tell us, kind of give us an update on what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Scripps Ranch is just, if I had one word, it's consistent. I mean, if you look at the current active pendings and solds, detached condos, it's almost even across the board. Right now, you basically have 34 active properties or sold properties. You've got 28 pending and 32 sold from a detached perspective. Now, I did take out Stonebridge because that's a whole different anomaly, so we're talking about proper Scripps Ranch. From a median price point, everything is coming down to about $900,000 is the average, median price for a home in Scripps Ranch. The pendings are around $772, and things are really moving. The best thing I actually saw was the price per square foot. The price per square foot, detached versus condo, was within pennies of each other.
Wow.
Everything is settling right at $325 a square foot, and that seems to be a real hot button for buyers. That doesn't work very well at the coast because you see a lot of custom homes, but in Scripps Ranch, you have a lot of like kind properties. So things really seem to be settling down at that $325 a square foot. And then looking at the days on market, things are trending upwards a little bit. The lower priced properties are still selling quickly, but you're seeing the days on market incrementally starting to go up a little bit. So if I'm a buyer or a seller, kind of looking at things, I think if you're a seller, you want to beat that spring rush. I think the inventories in general across San Diego and especially in Scripps Ranch are going to increase from where they've been. So as a buyer, you need to be pre-approved, ready to go. And as a seller, I'd try to beat out that competition and be one of those first homes on the market in that late winter, early spring.
Okay.
So
fantastic stuff from Scott Ryan. Really appreciate you being here and bringing Bob with you today.
Absolutely.
Bob, thank you for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you very
it, man.
much.
All right, stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is our Golden Hill community correspondent. Please welcome back to the show, Voltaire Lepe.
There he is. Voltaire's in the house. What's up, my man?
Not much, just chilling. How are you?
Good. Great to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I like the purple tie, by the way, I should say.
Well, I thought it was pink, but I'll work with it. You got a pink shirt, and I figured I'd get a purple
Pink
tie.
purple. It's all powerful stuff, man. Golden Hill. Very, very hot area of San Diego right now. You decided to move your office to Golden Hill.
Yes, I did.
Recently, which is really cool. But the market there is very, very hot. Tell me why the market is so hot in Golden Hill.
There's multiple reasons. One reason is just how central it is to everything else. So it's right smack down in the middle of San Diego. It's close to downtown, so there's a lot of people that live in downtown. Right now, they live in condos, etc. Maybe they're getting priced out of those condos, and if they want a home, Golden Hill is right up the street. So basically, you could walk to downtown. Back in the day, they used to have a streetcar that would go from downtown through Golden Hill.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how close it is. You have incredible views of downtown, and a lot of people in the neighborhood that in the surrounding areas like North Park, South Park, Mission Hills, Hillcrest. Those rents are going up really high. and then the prices of homes are going up really high, and Golden Hill is still relatively affordable, just for the location that it's in. You know, you also see like type of homes. I mean, the style of homes in Golden Hill is pretty awesome. There's a lot of Victorian style homes, early 19th century, even late 1800 type of homes, and back then that was where a lot of wealthy people would live, and that's why these homes are like gigantic homes and, you know, really cool. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people are moving because there's a lot of like culture in that area, where there's still like a huge mix of different type of people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should fire up the streetcar again. I think we should
Yeah.
get the Lepe Tindwell Properties streetcar going from Golden Hill back to downtown. I think you should make that happen, man.
Well, you know, once a year they have like a Golden Hill block party that goes actually all the way through South Park, North Park, Golden Hill, and they actually have like a streetcar looking thing, like one of those old town trolley, you know, tour carts, and they go around and they pick up people at different stops and take them to, you know, different restaurants, bars, or wherever they're going for the street fair. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of people who work in downtown now, but they don't want to live in downtown.
Right.
Because they're just too close. It's too close to them, you know, which is interesting. But I'm hearing that a lot lately. So people are going to some of the other areas that are adjacent. Golden Hill, obviously, very close and affordable.
Yeah, close, affordable. You know, you can see views of downtown, of Coronado. So it's a really awesome place, and that's why, you know, a reason why I moved my office there is just because it's so close to everything. It's so central, and it's really close to the freeway compared to, you know, living in parts of South Park, parts of North Park, where it takes you like 10 minutes to get to, you know, the 805 or the 8 freeway. So it
takes you 10 minutes to get there, 25 minutes to get on the freeway.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, that's how it works.
Let's talk specifically about the real estate market in Golden Hill. I know proximity-wise, it makes a lot of sense. On paper, it's more affordable than some of the surrounding areas. But what's been happening specifically there?
You know, as far as prices, I mean, it's really hot. The homes that have sold this year, they're selling for 99.9% of asking price.
Wow.
Which is insane.
I've never heard of that.
It's 99.9. You know, when I did the, you know, basically the average home is selling for 606,000. The average list price is 607.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So you know, sellers are getting what they want in Golden Hill, and you know, a lot of times, obviously, with the laws of averages, they're getting a lot more than what they thought they could get for their property. So it's a hot market. You know, the days on market is very low. There's limited inventory. And you know, there's a lot of people that are kind of on the fence of whether they should sell their property or keep their property. And at the end of the day, they're trying to possibly time the market. But you know, I know some big time investors that own property in Golden Hill and other areas of town, and you know, they're kind of telling themselves like, hey, like, you know what, maybe it's not the peak yet, but I'm pretty happy where prices are at right now. And you know, a lot of people are selling, not, you know, the day-to-day, you know, real estate owner, but the more of, you know, hey, I own 20 properties, 30 properties. Investors that are just, you know, saying it's the right time and they're selling.
Interesting. Do you agree with them?
You know, those guys, it's hard to disagree. And the reason why is because they accumulated so many properties, and you know, they're worth X amount of millions, and so it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, I've sold a lot of properties. They've accumulated so much wealth, so you kind of got to really take their insight seriously.
Yeah.
And there's different types of investors out there, and it's funny because sometimes I start asking questions, and some of them are just going off of a hunch. You know, they just say, hey, look at, you know, I've seen the market many times over, and it's a cyclical, real estate's a cyclical thing, and I just feel it's the right time to sell at the right price, because prices are, you know, where they need to be. And then there's other guys that have a lot more data to back up their decision, and you know, they're saying things like, hey, you know what, the rental increase and the price increase just doesn't match the income of people in San Diego.
It's kind of been the issue for a while, though, and the market's still been strong. And you have areas like Golden Hill, which are sort of up and coming,
Right.
where a lot of people don't even know, but they don't talk about it.
Right.
And when that happens, usually there's a good opportunity to be involved one way or the other. But you've got a free home seller course for the people who aren't the investors with hundreds of properties, who have
Right.
all the data, so that they can figure out if it's the right time for them, and if it is, what they should do, right?
Right, of course. So, this free home seller course, the reason why I came about it is because over the years I've prided myself in educating the client, educating the buyer, educating the seller. Just because at the end of the day, they might not be as savvy, or they may need some help in trying to figure out exactly what to do. They might have bought or sold, 0 homes, or just a few homes throughout their lifetime. And I've always educated them in different ways, but then the bright idea came about and said, hey, let's just put a home seller course together, and then that way they can know as much as a really savvy investor, or as much as a real estate agent that sold a bunch of deals. So
Right.
that's why we created this, and we're putting it out there for free, to all home sellers or future home sellers to take this video course online, and they'll receive these courses from me,
Directly, right?
Directly.
Just by going to the website. Super easy to sign up, super easy to participate. I've looked at it, done it myself. This is something that if you are considering selling, like right now, if you're one of those people who's on the fence, like you were talking about earlier, take a look at this, the free course, by going to the website on the screen. Of course, you can always, when you get to the website, you can call or message Voltaire in a number of different ways from there. Voltaire, great stuff, man. Thanks for coming in today and telling us more about Golden Hill and what's going on down there.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is our Carlsbad community correspondent. Please welcome back to the show Mr. Carlsbad himself, Brian DeVore, and his special guest, estate attorney Brenda Geiger.
They're here. All right, they made it. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Hi.
How you doing?
Doing very great, thank you.
Really interesting subject today. Talk about investment properties, some advantages, tax advantages, advantages in the law through estate planning and stuff along those lines. And we asked people in Carlsbad if they would buy investment property in Carlsbad, so we'll be doing that via social media shortly. Brian,
Yes.
you wanted to bring in Brenda today.
Yes.
Well-known attorney in Carlsbad. Tell me why.
So in my practice, I'm asked a lot of times by my clients, how should I hold title? All these different legal questions, which I'm not a lawyer. I can't answer those questions. So I have to tell my clients, I'm not a lawyer. I can't answer those questions. So the good news is I decided to bring Brenda on so now she can tell your viewers the answers that they may have about the law as it relates to real estate.
Okay. And Brenda, now a lot of times lawyers can't answer questions either because they have to say, well, it depends on a lot of different things. But
It
today,
does.
there are some general guidelines that you can use. For example, if you're buying an investment property, you have advice for people.
Yeah, typically the best thing to do is to set up a limited liability company. And there are a couple of different reasons for that, but the primary reason is to protect it from creditors. So if you have other things like you own a home, you have other investable assets, maybe even other real estate, you're going to want to protect those assets from being taken in a lawsuit that's against the property that you put into the LLC. And there are ways to do that. So one way would be to create a California LLC, which might be good, but you may want to consider setting up a Delaware LLC and then foreign filing your LLC here in California. And the reason for that is that the charging order is a limited remedy in Delaware, which gives us a little bit more support. It puts another barrier between you and the would-be creditor.
Okay, so what you're saying is like if you buy an investment property that say it's part of your retirement, you're paying it off so you can get retirement income, and then all of a sudden you get into a car accident, it's your fault, and now someone's suing you, okay? If you have it in an LLC over here, they can't get to it, or let's say they can't get to it as easily as if you just had it in your name.
That's actually a secondary benefit, but
Okay.
the primary benefit is, let's say you had something catastrophic happen on the property and the renters are now suing you. You know, maybe there was a fire because of faulty wiring, or somebody wandered onto the property and got hurt, or maybe the tenant had a dog and did something malicious to somebody that came onto the property as a visitor, they're going to sue the property owner. So if it's in an LLC, they'll sue the LLC and not the person individually.
That's really neat. Now, what about, and everyone should do that, it sounds like there's no reason not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What if I have multiple properties? Do I need multiple LLCs, or can you put those all under the same veil?
That is also a depends question, but typically if you want the best creditor protection, having each one insulated in its own LLC is the best course of action. But if you're just starting out and you have 2 or 3 properties and you just don't want to spend all the money to set them up, or you don't want to spend that $800 state franchise tax board fee to California for each individual LLC, you're going to want to make sure that you at least put them all individually or all together in one LLC, and maybe later spread them out among other LLCs.
Wow, she's making a lot of work for you here, Mr. DeVore. You're gonna,
yes.
Mr. Carlsbad, I should say. You're
Yeah.
going to have to get on the phone and call all of your property buyers who bought
Yes.
investment properties and
Exactly.
say, you got to call Brenda.
Well, and that's one of the benefits, like I said, and that's one of the reasons why I like working with Brenda, is my expertise is real estate, and I don't want to even try to guide people in any direction that may not be the most beneficial to them. Brenda is an invaluable asset to do that for me.
Yeah, and now we also are talking about, in the world of real estate, let's go kind of to the estate planning side, with regard to property heirs, or if you have property that you plan to leave to someone else. You have tips for that too, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that the state of the art has changed with estate planning, and most people realize that in California it makes sense to have a revocable trust, and typically a husband and wife will have one together, or somebody that is a single person would have one for themselves, but they're usually going to be listing their children or other heirs that they want to benefit. But the best thing to do is to consider leaving it in a way that's creditor protected.
Okay.
So what that means is we set up inside the trust a continuing trust that only gets formed upon death. So once the grantor of the trust, the person creating the trust, dies, and then it goes on to the next person or generation, we can set it up in such a way where there's creditor protection from, say, a divorcing spouse, from a bankruptcy, from a lawsuit, or from some other type of creditor.
Really?
So there's a special way that we can do that. And on top of it, if it's appropriate, we can make that beneficiary controlled by putting the beneficiary on as trustee of their own separate share trust at a stated age. So in my case, my kids at 35 can each take over as trustee of their own separate shares.
Wow, that's incredible. Bankruptcy protection, I mean, it's really difficult to insulate yourself from that.
Yeah.
Does the trigger have to be death, or could there be another trigger established for this trust that automatically starts?
You can set up a trust while you're alive that's an irrevocable trust and give assets to that trust and do the same type of planning for a child. You don't have to wait till death.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But this is great stuff.
I'm telling you.
Great job, Brian.
Thank you.
Let's go to social media, because I wanted to find out how many people out there are interested in potentially purchasing a rental property.
Yep, it's a very simple question. Would you consider buying a rental property in Carlsbad? Alan Lechuza, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, says yes, without a question. And Dana Rosenstock Green says, if I could, I would.
I think the people on social media have the hardest names ever. Like, I've never seen John Smith
I know, right?
comment. You know, it's always someone with 3 names and 14 letters each.
Right.
Mr. Carlsbad.
Yes, sir.
Dana said, I'm going to just call her Dana, if I could, I would.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there are a lot of people who don't realize they could own investment property just because they haven't checked into it?
I think that's correct. I think that some people feel that, oh, that's for the very rich people who can afford to buy rental properties. But there are ways to leverage either your money or maybe someone else's money to purchase an investment property, make it part of your estate planning process. So I think that if people researched it some more, there are other ways that they can find out, and I'm happy to share that information with your viewers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to buy a rental property in Carlsbad, obviously Mr. Carlsbad is the right guy to call. And you have some really cool information to give away today, too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So I'm really excited because there's a lot of different data that's out there available for people to research what home values are doing. One of them is provided by the North San Diego County Association of Realtors, called the HomeDex Report. And what's so exciting about it is I can get a report for any zip code throughout Carlsbad, and it talks about how many new listings are on the market compared to last year, how many more homes are in escrow than there were last year. So you can really see different trends of what's happening in the market relative to the rest of the county. So if anyone who's watching is interested in getting one of these reports, either one time or an ongoing basis, they can send me a text message from the number on the screen. I'd be happy to provide that information for them.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's almost like a micro market analysis.
Exactly.
Per zip code.
Correct.
In Carlsbad, and you'll give it to them for free. And if someone wants it to continue to come every week or every month or however often it's available, you can set that up for them as well.
Absolutely.
Totally free.
Yep.
Fantastic. What else is going on in Carlsbad we should know about? You have anything hot on the market?
Well, so we do have a listing that's hot on the market, and we just did a complete rehab in this home to make it as appealing as possible to everybody. It's in a community that I know and love, Rancho Carrillo, which we've talked about once or twice before in the show.
Mr. Carlsbad has a listing in Rancho Carrillo.
I know. In other news, the sky is blue. And so it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home, just under 2,800 square feet, and we're listed for a range of $799 to $825. It's actually priced very competitively to the market. We're getting a lot of activity on it, and I'd love to have one of your viewers have the opportunity to take a look at it.
Okay, we'll absolutely give them the opportunity to do that. Just text Mr. DeVore if you'd like a private showing. Appreciate you both coming in today. Brenda, thank you for your time.
You.
Mr. Carlsbad, as always, you the man.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is the host of a very popular radio show, Big Daddy Radio. Please welcome back to the show, Big Daddy himself, Brian Garrity.
BG's here. What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you.
Yes. You, my friend. To you. Very well, thank you.
Great to have you here.
Love it. You know I love it.
Yes, I know you do. Now, I think a lot of people know you now for the socks.
Yeah,
first of all, first and foremost, for the socks. And
taking on a life of its own.
But a lot of people don't know that you actually went to law school and you were an attorney.
I didn't practice.
You didn't practice.
But all but. I mean, I was in law for 10 years.
In law for 10 years.
Yeah, as a law clerk. And I went to law school. They kind of pushed it on me. And my parents were so excited because it just wasn't something that I felt. At the time, I was making more than most of the junior attorneys. That was at the time. And I just didn't have that kind of vision. And it was so adversarial that I had, you know, it's a long time ago, but I had like a major health scare at a very young age. And it caused me to think, is this really where I want to be? Is this what I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
And so I felt like real estate was a good option. I had friends in real estate. They're like, you'd be a great fit. You have the right personality. You've got all that legal background. You really be good with contracts and understanding them and terminology. I was like, yeah. And then that happened, the health scare. And while I was in the hospital for 10 days, I took some deep examination and I was on disability for a couple months, and then I was like, no, I'm not going back. That was a big, hard decision.
Big decision, but it's important because, like you mentioned, it's 100, 200 pages to get a real estate deal done these days. Like, you practically need to be an attorney to be able to interpret all that stuff. So you're able to provide a lot of insight in that regard for your clients just automatically. It's built in.
It is built in.
And today, you have a tip, and this is really just more of like a seller beware type tip.
It is, because it's rampant. So especially with inventory being as low as it is, like we've talked about on every segment, you've got to watch out because, number one, you need an agent with experience, and that means you need an agent that knows how to price your house. Something that struck a chord with several people that watched this last time was I had said, buying the listing, and people thought I meant an agent is giving them money in order to choose them as their representative or their agent in capacity. And I was like, no. In other words, buying the listing means you go out, you've probably not done any of your homework, would be my guess. But you go out to the seller and the seller says, my house is worth $850, and you have every single comparable sale, and there's no chance, no matter how beautiful that house is, that they're going to get more than $700. This just happened. So I really want people to understand that the best agents are the agents that tell the truth. So a good agent they're out there, they do their job, and they tend to try to deliver you good news. The great agents are the ones that aren't afraid to tell you the bad news, that aren't afraid to tell you the truth.
Right.
And I truly believe that. So you as the homeowner, when you're going to hire, and remember, you're the boss, the homeowner's the boss, it's not the other way around. The agent is working for the seller, although the agent is working to get the seller, or should be, highest dollar for their house. That does not mean you let the seller dictate price. And I've walked away from listings where they've wanted to overprice their house. I knew there was no way I was going to get the house sold, and I just had to walk away because the sellers, and of course another agent came, picked up the listing, look at the MLS 60 days later, and there it was, selling for at or less than what I had quoted them for. So, and the reason it probably was less than what I had quoted had they went with me in the beginning and we had done it. See, the longer your house stays on the market,
Will get stale.
it goes stale. But it also
simply
erodes the value. People don't understand that. It sends a mindset to potential buyers who now have access to all of this real estate data. And they start watching the price reductions. And they're like, oh, that house has already had 2 price reductions. I'm going to sit on the side and wait to see how low they're willing to go.
Oh, make an offer of 50 grand.
Low ball.
Yeah,
so low ball. So it's one of those two things, right? So when do they throw the low ball in? Maybe the first or second price reduction. But see, now you've set that stage for your seller, and it's very, very hard to unwind. And it is buying the listing. And agents that do that, listen, everyone could have a misstep. But there are agents that consistently overprice homes, and you'll go back and see all their canceled listings or withdrawn. And it's one of those things that it's shocking to me. It's shocking.
It's very interesting because, Rebecca, it's like when you are looking to sell your home, it's sort of like opening a bag of chips. Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, you have only so long before those chips get stale.
That's a perfect analogy.
I mean, and when they get stale, it doesn't matter if you close the bag back up or not.
No matter how tight.
It doesn't matter
no matter
now.
how tight.
It's
no matter
stale.
How tight.
That's all there is to it. So we went to social media. We wanted to ask some people about their experiences, sort of draw some conclusions for BG here, to Big Daddy to tell us exactly, what his opinion is. So let's see what people said.
Yeah, so our question was for homeowners. What was your least favorite part about buying a home? Denise Garcia says San Diego is the best city ever, but for middle class to buy a home is almost unheard of. Shame on San Diego. FYI, born and raised.
Yes, as if that's San Diego's fault.
Yeah. No.
Shame on you, San Diego.
It's not San Diego's fault. San Diego for being so
for having such a booming market. Yeah, shame on you.
Seriously.
What was interesting to me was we had Monica, what she had to say.
Monica said the least favorite was the sales rep.
Yeah. And she said, Nos frego.
Nos frego.
Which I believe means not so hot.
Yeah.
Not so hot. Yeah.
So that was a common issue. And then, of course, what Michael Timpson said was also interesting.
Timpson, sorry, I'm not going to pronounce your last name.
Tim Chechen.
Tim
Chechen.
That's all right. You got to pass.
Achoo.
You can do it.
The mortgage ball and chain.
The mortgage
That
ball
was
and
his
chain.
comment.
So
See where people are coming from? It's really interesting.
I get it. People are the bubble. How I said it's frothy. Listen to what all those comments are.
Yeah.
Afraid to buy a house in San Diego. Mortgage ball and chain.
Too expensive.
All of that.
Yes.
Too expensive. Can't afford it. Priced out of the market. There's other comments on there exactly to that effect.
Yeah.
So to me, back to one of our first segments, when I said the market's frothy, and I got a little bit of flack from other agents, which kind of made me a little pissed because I was like, no, oh no, not me. I'll hold back. But because I really, show me if it's not frothy. Show me how high can these values keep going before it explodes?
Yeah.
The incomes are not keeping up with the values. So look, as a seller, it's super important that you do your due diligence. Your cousin who just got their real estate license, who's just embarking on their new adventure, I would highly recommend you take a pass on that. Let them get some experience under their belt. Maybe you ask them, do they work with another agent that has more experience, like
Could
a
they do
mentor
a co-listing
capacity?
or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying don't use a cousin, but why don't you build in a protection with somebody that has substantial experience?
This is the attorney.
Yeah, I can't help it. But then I've got the...
JD, I should say.
Yeah. I always say that selling a house is a unique business proposition. Every seller should be treated differently. Every sale should be treated differently. So, if, everyone's taught, have a listing presentation. Show them all your pretty photos. Show them everything you've sold. How about you change your way of thinking? Yes, your background should speak for itself. They should be hiring an experienced agent. That should be part of it. But if you're going to sell my house, I want to know, what are you going to do for me to get me the most that's reasonable, that I know is going to fly?
Right.
And somebody overpricing my home, because sellers are so emotionally involved with their home. This $850 to $700 circumstance I'm telling you, the sellers happened to be there, and they were very, very intense on the house. And they wanted the agents out of the way, and they wanted to show the house. And you've got to remove stuff like that. You need an experienced agent. You need to know where the comparables fall. And if somebody takes your listing and says, let's list high because we'll have room to negotiate, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're losing money. That's a bad, bad strategy, period. It's buying the listing and it happens too much and it's nonsensical. It's nonsensical. I don't get it. I don't.
That's why we love him. That's Big Daddy, Brian Garrity. Make sure you check out his radio show, ESPN 1700, Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. Radio show just blowing up.
It is. I love it.
Been just amazing. Check it out. Everyone loves this show. And, of course, if you have questions about real estate, this is a guy who will shoot you straight. I guarantee you that. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is the all-time champion of the real estate debate. Please welcome back Elizabeth Story and her special guest, Elaine Hine.
All right, the champ is here. She's in the house.
Here
What's
to
up,
bring
champ?
it.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day in San Diego.
It's a beautiful day in San Diego, as it always is. It's great to have you here. Now you have a special guest with you today. Elaine Hine is here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, Elaine. Tell me why you wanted to bring Elaine on today.
You know, I really hit it off with Elaine from the beginning. She's a very compassionate person, but she's also extremely professional. And in what Elaine does, which is specialize in family law, it's important to have someone who is both tactful and professional and also compassionate.
Yeah, and so when we talk about, divorce situations, what are we going to do with the house? That's a really sensitive area. But we have both experts here right now to sort of dive into that and figure out, all right, well, what do we do?
From a real estate perspective, I've helped clients both on the buying and the selling side when they're going through divorce, and it's really nobody's business, and it's not anything that needs to be advertised in print or when you're touring the home. It doesn't need to be every buyer who comes through your house doesn't need to know that you're getting a divorce. So when you're working with an agent, you want to make sure that it's someone like myself who is extremely interested in protecting your privacy, but there's also ways to sell the house that makes it far less obvious, and there's ways to sell it that make it obvious. And that's one thing that I really take a lot of pride in, is I go through the home with a fine-tooth comb and I say, look, here's some things that we need to change. I work with the stager to say, here's some things that we need to change to make this house still look like there's love inside from all angles.
Right.
Because they sell better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's your job in that situation. Elaine, it can get hairy sometimes in a divorce situation, especially with property involved. What kind of advice do you have for us?
Well, my first piece of advice would be to consult an attorney before you file for divorce, so you know what you're getting into and you know what your rights and your obligations are going to be when entering into this divorce situation. There's all sorts of different types of situations people find themselves in. They have a house before they got married and then they transferred it to joint title. They put separate property down. It's important to consult an attorney before you go through that process, and I can certainly help you figure out what your rights and obligations are, what you'll be paying, whether it's better to sell the house, whether it's better to buy the other person out, and I can always refer you to a great real estate agent, and if in fact you have found that it's necessary to sell that house, and Elizabeth's one of those.
Yeah, well, I think it can be clean a lot of times to just sell the home and kind of move away, but a lot of times people don't want to do that, right? Someone wants to keep it for whatever sentimental reasons, or this is where the kids have grown up, we don't want to change that for them, or whatever it may be. And that's a whole nother set of considerations you have to think about, because as you know, Elizabeth, with your background in real estate and lending, just saying, all right, it's your house now, that doesn't take anybody's name off of the paperwork.
Correct.
Now you have to refinance the house in that person's name alone who's going to actually keep the house. And that person has to buy the other person out. Can that be done? I don't know. You have to look at each situation and find out if that's going to be the best thing to do in that situation. Kids stay in the house, you want to keep the house, school district, those are all considerations.
Elizabeth, how important is the agent in this circumstance? Because it seems to me like there are enough variables already kind of going on with the people involved in that circumstance. How do you help them in ways that other agents might not be able to?
So you need someone, again, who can listen and be compassionate, but also can hear both sides and then help both sides communicate properly. Because it's not about fighting, it's about both people walking away with the best possible outcome. So, the hope and expectation is there will be equity if you have to sell, and that both sides can maximize their equity. So again, it's about working together, because if one side loses money, so does the other. So we want both sides to be profitable, and again, open, honest, consistent communication, but also keeping a level head and having a level playing field so that both sides really feel like they're getting treated fairly.
You said something earlier about privacy that really stuck out to me, because I've seen, and I mean just on the open MLS, where it says in the notes, seller's going through divorce or something like that. It's like broadcast to everyone who's looking at the homes for sale, which includes all the neighbors and anyone who wants to go on a website and find the home that's for sale. That to me is a little uncomfortable. I mean, I've seen that and I'm just going, I can't imagine that the sellers really wanted that.
Not only is it rude, but it also affects the value. I mean, if you're going to go buy a house and you think they're selling it because they're moving up, or you're going to buy a house and you know that they're getting a divorce, you might not offer as much if they're going through a divorce, because you might think, oh, there's trouble in the waters. So again, hiring an agent who is professional and understands that it's not about your divorce, but again, it's maximizing the sale, getting it over with as quickly as possible, and getting you out of the situation that you're trying to walk away from as amicably as possible.
Yes, that's a key word. Right, Elaine?
Oh, definitely. And bringing those two differing minds into one unison when you're trying to decide on a sales price, for instance, or what repairs need to be made prior to sale, or how to stage it, or who's going to mow the lawn.
Exactly.
Or how are you going to stage it? Are you going to stage it as a man cave or as, Florence, circa 1400s?
Exactly.
They might have differing opinions there.
And then there's disputes that arise once there's an offer on the house. One party wants to accept and the other doesn't. I'm sure Elizabeth can help the parties try and reach an agreement on, provide good advice as to whether to accept that offer.
What else should we know, Elaine, from a law perspective, as far as people who might be considering going through, or even going through something like this right now? What are some other things they might be able to think about?
Well, like I talked about before, do you have some separate property? Did you make a separate property down payment? Am I going to get that separate property back? Am I going to get it back with appreciation? Is there a prenuptial agreement that was in place that would provide me with the ability to get that appreciation back? Those are all sorts of questions people need advice on before they decide what to do with the house and whether to sell it.
If you can't answer those questions, then you have questions yet to ask.
Right.
Because you need to be able to answer those questions.
Right.
It's fantastic stuff. Elizabeth, you want to take us home?
I do. There are a lot of complicated questions to answer, but we want you to know that we're here to help. Both Elaine and myself are available for free, no obligation consultations to help you answer some of the questions about property, value of your home, and whether or not it's the right choice for you to sell, refinance, or what your options are. So please don't hesitate to contact either one of us for a free, no obligation consultation.
Great stuff, ladies. Really appreciate you being in here today. Elizabeth, great job bringing in Elaine. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate your time. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
The next guest on Smarter San Diego TV is a North County real estate expert. Please welcome for the very first time, Brent Humpherys.
He's here. He is here. Brent Humpherys is here. How about it? Welcome to the show, Brent. How you doing, man?
I'm great, thank you. Drove here in the rain. That's hard to do in San Diego.
I know it is. It is. You picked a great day.
Yes, I did.
Really interesting subject matter today, because we're talking about sort of the real estate industry in general, what it's like, how you're different. Now, you're one of the top agents in North County. In fact, I saw top 10 recently in one of the actual, not a poll, it wasn't like a popularity thing, it was actual business conducted.
Yeah. I think that was ranked on the short agents, though. Like
was it
most
height?
Productivity for 5'3" agents. I'm not sure. That was a.
You're a pun of fun. Did you know that?
Thank you.
So, how do you do it? You're a one-man show, right?
I am a one-man show.
Just you.
Yep, I am.
How do you do all that?
Well, I do it with great attention to detail. I mean, everywhere I go, I've got my office connected. I mean, I drive a Tesla. I've got the infotainment browser. I've got a window into my office with all of my clients and files, and Dropbox is synced and got everything there.
So that's really usable. You can actually do that, and it works.
Absolutely,
it's feasible.
Yeah. Wow. I had a San Diego police officer last year sign 210 pages for an escrow that we had him in my car, parked, by the way.
In your Tesla.
In the Tesla, but parked. No signing and driving. It was great. 210 pages.
Wow. And that's because that's a touch screen. So
touch
he's
screen.
just using like
DocuSign and other technologies, yeah.
Wow.
And one of the exciting things I've done too is I have a full-size onboard laser printer in my car.
What?
And so car's got its own email address. So one time the office called and actually sent me documents before a listing appointment. I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot the market report. And they pushed documents to the car. I pulled over and there they were.
That's hilarious. If I had a printer in my car, it'd be very dangerous.
Yeah. Don't print and drive, though.
I would be so tempted to print stuff, stick it in the window.
Yeah.
So if someone has
it comes in handy though if you're out shopping, and your wife sends you a coupon, you forget to, bring it. You can just say, "Oh, I'll be right back." Or you're going to go home and get that coupon. I'm like, no, I'm going to print it in the parking lot. You get some funny looks.
Do you have something, Rebecca?
I was going to say, if someone has the winning lottery numbers, let me know. That could definitely help me out with my studies. Just print on the way to school. Oh, I forgot.
If someone's going to win the lottery, I'm sure they'll let you know.
Then there's no excuse to not get my homework done.
There you go. So, technology, that can't be everything, though. There's got to be more to it than that.
It's word of mouth. It's referrals. When you are laser focused on what the client wants and not what you want, when you walk into a living room and people ask, is now a good time to sell, and you're not looking at your personal finances or the balance in your checking account, but looking at what their needs are, you think I get a funny look when I can go and print something in the car. The real funny look that's really, really fun, Derek, is when I walk into someone's living room and I chat with them and I say, I know that you've called me to sell your home. I really think we ought to wait another 6 to 12 months. They just can't believe it, and they remember you, and they refer their friends and family.
I bet it does, because we decided actually for this segment to go to social media and ask them kind of, what do people think in general about real estate agents? Are they trustworthy? Rebecca?
Yes, so the poll was, how trustworthy are real estate agents? Use a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being 100% honest all the time and 0 being 100% dishonest all the time. Jack Rowell says, I think there are more neglectful / inexperienced / dumb realtors than dishonest ones.
What do you think about that comment, Brent? Is that more true? Is it not necessarily the intent to be dishonest, but more just neglect?
I think there's dishonesty, and I think there is also neglect. And I think that we live in a world where people are increasingly for themselves and will say whatever's convenient. They need to tell a lie to cover something. They'll tell a lie to cover something. And when you overlay that with an economic climate and a business model that if you don't produce, you don't eat, I think that there are people that will cut corners and say whatever's convenient for the moment to get a listing.
Well, being that we know you're a very honest guy and not self-serving, how do you help people, for people who are watching right now, how can we help them figure out how to find someone like you? What are the questions a normal person would have to ask?
You're so praiseworthy. They're going to think this is a paid ad. The way people find an honest agent, I think begins with reviews. Look on Yelp, look on Trulia and Zillow and Realtor.com and LinkedIn particularly, and read what people are saying. And I think you can tell a true review from a false one. Now, I have opinions about Yelp. I have only 5-star reviews on every site, including Yelp. But Yelp thinks that about 60% of my reviews are just made up.
Really?
Yeah, because apparently they were too long, or there was an adjective that apparently didn't pass the filter, or they're looking at an IP address where I sold a home, they moved to Ohio, and the IP address is Ohio, and so Yelp thinks, I just paid somebody out of state. Well, no, that's where they moved.
Right.
So that's naturally where they're going to connect.
I think Yelp is just like mafia, basically.
Yeah.
They hold hostage your reviews, and I don't know. We could go all day about Yelp, frankly, but
Yeah.
I do think it's a good idea to look at reviews. LinkedIn is a really brilliant idea, though, because people have to go on there and have to endorse you. They have to
Correct.
say, yes, I endorse this person for this particular skill.
Correct.
They could endorse you for multiple skills if they believe you're worthy of it. And if someone has a really robust LinkedIn profile like that, then chances are they're the real deal.
Yeah. So read the reviews. Ask if you can contact references. I mean, if you can contact references and find out that these people are really, really legit and that you provided a real value in a service, it goes a long way. I mean, this summer I relocated the economics professor for business management at San Diego State, which is my alma mater.
Cool.
And I was doing video shoots in a home and trying to send everything back via secure link because he had relocated here from Illinois. Long story short, the home had a crack slab. And I went out of my way to make some phone calls and try to to line up a structural engineer to evaluate that crack, take pictures of the crack, the measurements, and send them back. And when I met with the structural guy, who was an expert witness in 22 cases in Northridge and New Orleans, Katrina, all of that, he looked at me and he said, "You're the real deal." And I think I blushed because I'm like, well, that's really kind. Why? We just met. Why are you saying that? And he said, most people in your business, and I don't think this is true, okay? I'm not here to blast my colleagues, but most people in your business don't want to see me. And I said, that's really, really sad, because our oath is to work for these people, to provide diligent, competent advice and counsel and our experience, and let them know if there are pitfalls. I don't know if this crack's a problem, but I want an expert to tell us.
Right.
Because if this isn't the home, there's another one. There are plenty of homes in California.
Well, Brett, I'm going to hold you to it here. So
'Kay.
I know you have an offer today that you want to give to everyone for
Yes.
free. And all they're going to have to do is just simply text you in order to get it.
Great.
What's the offer?
The offer is, and I've spent 14 years in this business, and by the way, I'm a third generation broker. So father started in 76, mom in 78, grandpa in 67. 4-year college degree in real estate, okay? I've been around this eat, sleep, and drink real estate. My offer is that if you text 760-333-3333, which is my cell, I will immediately send you my all-time favorite, least expensive home improvements to net you the most money when you sell.
Okay, so this is the top 10 home improvements, least expensive home improvements,
right,
to help improve the value of your property.
Yes, and you'll be surprised when you see them, because these aren't major kitchen demos and granite and stainless steel appliances. These are little things, most of them about $300 or less, that will dramatically impact directly the price that you get when I sell your home.
Well, I'm gonna
or anyone.
I'll be texting you right now. The number on the screen, text your name and email to that number. That's Brent directly, and he will get you the top 10 least expensive things you can do to improve the value of your home. Brent, thanks for your time today, man.
Yeah, thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming in.
Awesome.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.